Akandamandalakaram Yaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Anyanati Mirandasya Yana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Stavaram Jangamam Yatam Yatinshit Sancharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Babaji Vyapi Yat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sarvashruti Shiroradham Virajitam Padam Bhuja Vedantam Bhuja Suryoya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chaitanya Shashvata Shanto Vyomatito Nirantana Bindunada Kalatita Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jnana Shakti Samadhuta Tattvamala Vibhushita Bhukti Mukti Pradatacha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidarine Atmajnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shoshanam Bhava Sindosha Yapanam Sara Sampadaha Guru Padodakam Samyak Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Na Guru Radhikam Tattvam Na Guru Radhikam Tapaha Tattvajnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Manata Shri Jagannatha Madguru Shri Jagadguru Mamatma Sarva Bhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guru Radhira Nadisha Guru Paramadevatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए देवा तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा गुरुआ 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 Deva. Guru 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 Swami 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 तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा 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 आके दर्शन दो मेरे पारा मेरे नए प्रिय से कर दर्शन दो मेरे प्रिय से तेरे दर्शन दो आके दर्शन दो मेरे पर प्रियतम आके दर्शन दो मेरे पर प्रियतम आके दर्शन दो मेरे गुरु प्रियतम आके दर्शन दो मेरे गुरु प्रियतम तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा गुरुआ 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 स्वामिया 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 तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा तेरे चरणों में फूल बिछाए मेरे देवा मेरा नियतिया से कर दर्शन को आके दर्शन दो मेरे देवा मेरे नियतिया से तेरे दर्शन को आके दर्शन दो मेरे देवा मेरा नियतिया से कर दर्शन को आके दर्शन दो मेरे देवा मेरे नियतिया से तेरे दर्शन को आके दर्शन दो मेरे देवा आके दर्शन दो मेरे पर प्रियतम आके दर्शन दो मेरे पर प्रियतम आके दर्शन दो मेरे गुरु प्रियतम आके दर्शन दो मेरे गुरु प्रियतम आके दर्शन
Vakarya Samudyataya Namaha, Om Sukshmatanave Namaha, Om Chinmayaya Namaha, Om Gurumurtaye Namaha, Om Sundaraya Namaha, Om Sulokshanaya Namaha, Om Sumukhaya Namaha, Om Sharvasaya Namaha, Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Padmabhujaya Namaha, Om Managamanaya Namaha, Om Sharubharadharine Namaha, Om Ramaya Namaha, Om Mandirasapakaya Namaha, Om Shivdevavashakaya Namaha, Om Gayatriyajvane Namaha, Om Alpanasvikarakaya Namaha, Om Vishnu Pujakaya Namaha, Om Namo Narayana Madhurapasakaya Namaha, Om Saramayaya Namaha, Om Madhurakantaya Namaha, Om Krishna Sankirtana Rupaya Namaha, Om Sudapriyaya Namaha, Om Mitabashine Namaha, Om Vagmine Namaha, Om Chitakara Visharadaya Namaha, Om Rathadaraya Namaha, Om Sarave Namaha, Om Jagatpantaya Namaha, Om Sarvalokaitaya Namaha, Om Bhaktapriyaya Namaha, Om Surdaya Namaha, Om Anukulaya Namaha, Om Neyaya Namaha, Om Sudarshanaya Namaha, Om Bhaktavatsalaaya Namaha, Om Premamurtaye Namaha, Om Shubhekshanaya Namaha, Om Pritivardhanaya Namaha, Om Sasidayakaya Namaha, Om Tarakaya Namaha, Om Anugrahaya Namaha, Om Vardhanaya Namaha, Om Akshitaya Namaha, Om Arthaya Namaha, Om Silipradaya Namaha, Om Janardhanaya Namaha, Om Manoharaya Namaha, Om Mahakshaya Namaha, Om Siddheshwaraya Namaha, Om Bhasmabhushitaya Namaha, Om Atmanigaya Namaha, Om Lingasana Prasakaya Namaha, Om Siddhisadhanaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Karupasakaya Namaha, Om Sukshmaya Namaha, Om Vishokaya Namaha, Om Satvikaya Namaha, Om Samadarshine Namaha, Om Dakshaya Namaha, Om Achintyaya Namaha, Om Nyankaraya Namaha, Om Nirmohaya Namaha, Om Avyagraya Namaha, Om Jitadrodaya Namaha, Om Vinayashilaya Namaha, Om Swavashaya Namaha, Om Kushalaya Namaha, Om Shamaya Namaha, Om Satyadharmaya Namaha, Om Yavikalpaya Namaha, Om Viraktaya Namaha, Om Atindraya Namaha, Om Satyasandaya Namaha, Om Pavitraya Namaha, Om Madhurasvabhavaya Namaha, Om Suramandaya Namaha, Om Nandanaya Namaha, Om Prasanatmane Namaha, Om Bhaktanidaye Namaha, Om Sakshaye Namaha, Om Samatmaye Namaha, Om Sadayogine Namaha, Om Araye Namaha, Om Sutapaya Namaha, Om Somyaya Namaha, Om Guyaya Namaha, Om Vimutatmaya Namaha, Om Gabiraya Namaha, Om Guptaya Namaha, Om Atmaramaya Namaha, Om Shrirasaya Namaha, Om Devaya Namaha, Om Dutilaraya Namaha, Om Danyaya Namaha, Om Gurave Namaha, Om Duratikramaya Namaha, Om Gahanaya Namaha, Om Bhagavate Namaha, Om Arishanamagadashakaya Namaha, Om Kutasya Jagartakaya Namaha, Om Aviprayaya Namaha, Om Samata Samatyaya Namaha, Om Shamakatavavardakaya Namaha, Om
Premavatara Sri Vishwananda Swami Namaha. Ato Deva
Avantano Yato Vishnur Vichakrame Pradivya Salta Damapi Idam Vishnur Vichakrame Tredani Dade Padam Samuramasya Bhagum Sure Treni Padam Vichakrame Vishnur Gopadavyaha Tato Dharmani Daryame Vishnu Karmani Pashyata Eto Vritani Paspashe Indrasya Yujasaka Tat Vishnu Paramam Padagum Sada Pashyanti Surya Dive Vachanchuratatam Tat Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagrvagum Sasamindate Vishnuryat Paramam Padam.
Premavatara
Dhimai Sadguru Devaya Dhimai Tano Vishwananda Prachodayate Om koti samaprabha nirvignam kuru me deva sarva karyeshu sarvada sarva karyeshu sarvada. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yo Na Prachodayat. Shri Krishna Vishnu Madhusudana Keitavare Narayana Chuta Trivikrama Chakrapane Deityadi Sanjara Rashidhara Vasudeva Gopala Krishna Hare Tava Suprabhatam Shri Rukmini Shabhavanasa Hare Murare Radesha Gopisa Surupra Brahmadi Vandya Shri Dvarakasya Vaikuntha Pate Bhuvaneka Murte Gopala Deva Hare Tava Suprabhatam Dinakrute Kamatarupa Varaha Murte Shri Vikramaya Guvanedro Rama Rama Shri Rama Krishna Yadunandana Kalpi Rupa Gopala Krishna Hare Tava Suprabhatam Govinda Madhava Mukunda Paramparesha Damodaram Chadarananda Kadari Shori Gopa Gopishana Samrita Dina Bando Gopishana Priyaraye Tava Suprabhatam Shiranti Shine Bhujagadi Patal Pashain Salbhaktarit Sadana Shine Ramanga Shine Shri Gopa Vama Mrugutalpa Sukadi Shine Gopa Vallavaraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Kashyapatri Sukhanara Dagotamadi Brahmarshi Sangamani Sangava Bharatesho Krishtanti Deva Tava Darshana Bhagya Heto Gopala Sekharare Tava Suprabhatam Mandara Chadi Tulasi Dalamalikalia Malyani Anjali Pute Samudaharanti Tishtanti Tvatbhavatadara Tale Muningraha Radha Manoharare Tava Suprabhatam Vedatrayam Patati Gotamakana Guyaha Gayanti Satgunagano Varadasa Vargaha Sankirtayanti Tavanama Kada Visheshaha Shri Naradadi Rishaya Tava Suprabhatam Govardhano Dharana Gopa Kishora Gopa Gopi Janamrita Subesha Bhavadi Pota Trilokya Mohana Sumangala Divya Deha Shri Rukminisha Varada Tava Suprabhatam Shri Vatsachina Sharananta Parijata Bantarti Vanchana Vipakara Dina Bando Divyanta Gayati Janapriya Divya Rupa Shri Nanda Gopa Tanaya Tava Suprabhatam Padmaksha Padmamukha Padmadara Prameya Padmalaya Sarita Padma Nivasa Shori Palmon Bhavati Surasevita Pada Padma Padmadinata Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vedatale Viharanaya Mahendra Vandya Kandar Padarpa Haratinya Sudesha Rupa Chandrananaya Sida Chandana Likna Deha Govinda Yala Varaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Nanda Nandana Yashoda Kumara Dira Mayangadina Davichona Supushpahara Nilam Buddhashi Sarira Ramagihara Gopala Deva Hare Tava Suprabhatam Shri Vaishri Janvavati Satya Sugandhi Badra Shri Mitravinda Divasa Prabhu Pudrikajaye Krishnan Vidya Bhavame Tava Sevanardam Gopi Manapriyaraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Achyutananda Mukunda Shori Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane नामानि दीर्घमुदयुर्ननिशं वदन्ति ब्राह्मी मुहूर्तसमये तव सुप्रभातम् Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Ye Patanti Harnesham Puri Kritan Mahapapan Shri Krishna Grahe Tutam
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindam Sarvakarana Karanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Sintamani Prakarasama Shukaka Vriksha Raksha Vritesha Sarabira Vipalayanta Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Vedum Kvavantam Aravindra Dalaya Taksham Varavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Bharula Chandra Kala Satvana Malya Vamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranaya Kirti Kala Vilasam Shyamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Angradiyasya Sakalindriya Viddimanti Pashanti Panti Kalayanti Shiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shakavatsara Sampraganyo Vayoradami Manaso Moripundavana Somyasriyam Pramadasinya Vichitya Kandre Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Ekopya Sora Chayatum Jaganta Koti Yashastirasti Jaganta Chayayanta Andatarasta Paramanya Chayantarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yadvava Bhavita Diyo Manjasta Deva Saprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusha Sutte Yameva Nigama Pratitestu Manti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Kavirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabi Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Premanjanachurita Bhakti Vilocanena Santa Sareva Niganeshu Vilokayanti Yakshana Sundara Vachitya Guna Swarupa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramani Muni Sukarani Amina Krishna Nanavatarama Karobho Varesha Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhava Paramam Pumayo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha
Veshabhutam Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Ayahiyasya Jaganta Satani Sute Trigunyata Trishaya Veda Vitaya Manam Sattva Valambi Parasattva Vishuddha Sattva Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasamvakaya Vanashu Yapraninam Vipalam Smaratam Upetya Vedantitena Bhuvanani Jayanti Chasram Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Golokanamini Jadami Taneshatasya Devi Mahesharidama Suteshu Teshu Tete Prabhavani Chaya Vita Shayana Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Shishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Jaye Vayasya Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Ichana Rupam Apiyasya Chacheshta Tesa Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Shriram Yatada Divikara Vishesha Yoga Sanjayate Naitata Pratiyashtieto Yasambutam Api Tata Samupeti Karya Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Dipashireva Gita Shantarama Rupetya Dipayate Vikareti Samana Dharma Yastadrileva Nisha Vishnu Kaya Vivati Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Yakaranamana Zaleba Tishma Yoga Nidramanantamanakupa Adhana Satyamavalamya Param Samurtim Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Yase Kanishvasita Kala Makavalamya Jivanti Loma Viraja Jagarantanata Vishnur Mahansaya Yasya Karavishesho Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Ashtam Yatashma Sakalesya Viseshatesha Sriyantiya Prakatayatya Pita Pratra Brahmaya Yesa Jaganta Vidana Karta Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Yatpada Pallava Yugam Viniraya Kumbha Vande Pranama Samaye Sagaradi Raja Vignam Vihantam Amalasya Jagankayasya Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Avirma Inganambu Marudi Sasha Kalasta Tattva Manasiti Jagatrayani Yashmat Bhavanti Vibhavanti Vishanti Amcha Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Yashakshureshva Savita Sakalagrana Raja Samasa Suramurti Rashesha Tisha Yasyabnaya Brahmaki Samrita Kala Chakro Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Dharmo Tapapani Chayastu Tayasta Pamshi Brahmadiketa Patagavadayasta Jiva Yadata Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Yasindra Gopamata Vendra Mahosva Karma Bandhana Rupa Palabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nirgati Kintu Shabati Bhajam Govindamadipurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Yam Krodha Kama Saja Pranayadi Biti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavai Sanshitya Tasa Sadushinta Nura Purete Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigram Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami.
Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Gurudev, good morning. Today we have a verse from Canto 9, Chapter 4, and it's the verse 63. Aham bhakta paradhino yasvan tantra idva dvija sadhubhir grasta hridayo bhakter bhakta jana priyaha. O Brahmana, I am under the control of my devotees like a dependent. My heart has been fully captivated by my saintly devotees. I am very dear to my devotees. So this verse is from the Leela of Ambarisha. So King Ambarisha was a great king in the Solar dynasty. And even though he was surrounded by so much opulence as the king, in his palace, having so many servants, so many wives and sons and duties and responsibilities, even though he was in those conditions, he was very much detached from the world and very much attached to worshipping the Lord. So the Srimad Bhagavatam describes how his mind was always remembering the Lord, how his hands would be cleaning the temple, how his eyes would see the deities, how his ears would hear the glories of Bhagwan, how his feet would go to holy places of pilgrimage. So all his senses were constantly engaged in service to Sri Hari. So it happened that one day he was observing Ekadashi, he was fasting, and then the time was approaching to break the fast. And at that moment, as you might be familiar with the Leela, Sage Durvasa and his disciples came, and as is custom in the Vedic tradition, you welcome the uninvited guest very warmly, and you would offer him some refreshments, you would offer him a meal. So the king knew this etiquette, and he welcomed King Sage Durvasa very nicely, and invited him for a meal. And the sage agreed, but first he had to perform his rituals by the Yamuna. Okay, and so the sage was away, but the time to break, there's a certain window where you can break the fast, no? And that time was soon, coming to an end. And Durvasa still had not returned. So the king was in a bit of a dilemma, because in the Hindu tradition, in the Vedic tradition, you cannot start having a meal before your guest. No, it's a great offense. And he was consulting with his brahmanas what to do. And they instructed him, well, just take a sip of water. Like that, if you have the intention of breaking the fast with a sip of water, even that can count, but still you're not breaking this etiquette of having a meal before your guest. right? And in that moment, exactly in that moment, Durvasa entered the scene, and he saw how the king was taking a sip of water before he would arrive and take his meal. So the sage got greatly offended, greatly enraged, and out of his rage, it is said he created a demonic entity which was chasing the king, or which was approaching the king and threatening to burn the king to ashes. And King Ambarisha was so surrendered to the will of the Lord that he just stood there completely unshaken, completely not flinching 1 inch. And he was just accepting it as the will of the Lord. And as you might be familiar with the Leela, then the Sudarshana chakra came, the Lord's discus, the Lord's weapon, and destroyed that demon, and then began actually chasing after Sage Durvasa. So Sage Durvasa was running here and there, trying to save himself, but wherever he was going, that chakra, that Sudarshan chakra, was chasing him. So he went to Brahma and said, "Please save me." But Brahma immediately knew there's some higher power involved. I'm not getting myself involved in this. Durvasa, I cannot save you. He went to Lord Shiva, same thing. Lord Shiva saw the Sudarshana chakra and said, "Look, Brahma, even myself, all the devas, we're all under the will of the Lord. Whatever he wishes, that shall happen. So this weapon is directly sent by the Lord, so I'm in no position to help you right now." So, and then Lord Shiva advised him to directly approach the Lord, because it's his weapon. Just like you enter someone's garden and the dog comes and tries to bite you, then only the owner can call that dog back. So similarly with Sudarshana, it's under the control of the Lord, and only he can withdraw it. So he went to the Lord, and it's actually exactly in that section where the Lord speaks this verse and says, "Yes, Sage Durvasa, I'm also not independent. Just like Brahma and Shiva, they all depend on me. They're dependent on my will. I'm equally subservient to my devotees. And to forgive you, I need a heart, but my heart is with my devotee whom you offended. So even if I wanted to, I cannot forgive you. You have to ask forgiveness from Ambarisha." So Durvasa rushed back, fell at the feet of the king, and the king obviously forgave him. Right? So that's the Leela. That's the external Leela, let's say, of King Ambarisha. And I'd like to actually focus on this point of detachment versus attachment. Because reflecting on this Leela is so interesting, how you have on one side a king who is surrounded with so much opulence, his palace, his ministers, all the luxury of royal life. And on the other hand, you have a sage who externally is completely renounced. He doesn't even have one place where he stays. He just travels around, might be sleeping under a different tree each night, doesn't carry any possessions whatsoever except maybe the cloth he's wearing on his body. But still, if you look at this Leela and you try to look into their internal state based on their external actions, the game of attachment versus detachment might be very different from what it looks at externally by looking at these two characters. Because when King Ambarisha was facing death, right, he was literally about to be burned by this demonic entity, he didn't care one bit to protect his own body from death. Right? What greater detachment could there be than not caring whether your body dies or not? And on the other hand, if you look at the sage, when he was threatened by the Sudarshan chakra, then he was running hysterically here and there, just trying to save his own body. Right? And there's actually a section just after the Lord speaks this verse, "O Brahmana, I'm under the control of my devotees like a dependent. My heart has been fully captivated by my saintly devotees." In that section, the Lord actually rebukes him and says, look, you're a sage. You're supposedly so renounced, but look how you become like a madman trying to save yourself from death. Don't you know that you're not this body? Don't you know that you're the eternal Atma? You cannot save you cannot even die. And look at the great king whom you offended so proudly, who has everything but is not attached to anything. And again, what greater detachment could there be than not caring whether your body dies or not? Right? But whenever we hear this word detachment, we become very nervous. No? We become very much afraid of what we're going to lose. In economics, there's this principle of loss aversion, and some studies have been done which show that a loss, let's say of 100 euros, is usually perceived twice as strongly as a gain of the same amount. Right? So this kind of experimentally shows that the human mind is just much more cautious of losing versus gaining. And so same, when Guruji speaks about detachment, when the Bhagavad Gita speaks about detachment, we become very much afraid. What does that mean? What do I have to give up? What do I have to let go of, which is so dear to me? But in truth, in detachment, we only gain. In reality, we're not losing anything. The only thing we're losing is whatever we don't need. Right? And the spiritual journey is somewhat like trying to climb a vast mountain, a very, very, very high mountain, and you're carrying a big backpack. Let's say you have a 30 kilo, 40 kilo backpack, and it's extremely difficult to carry it. And then the guru comes and says you have to develop detachment. And then you're like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to be detached. What does that mean? No, we have a lot of worry. But then the guru reveals that what that means is actually just taking that backpack and throwing out all the rubbish, all that garbage which you don't need. Right? And then you slowly, or he rather, slowly removes all the unnecessary stuff, and your backpack becomes lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, and you begin to realize that actually it's not so bad. The journey is somehow easier. I don't have to carry so much stuff. And please note that I'm not talking about external detachment. When Guruji, when Bhagavad Gita, they talk about detachment, it's not about the external things. As very, very, very clearly visible in this Leela of King Ambarish. No? King Ambarish was so greatly opulent, but he was so detached, and the sage had given up everything externally, but still this attachment was still there. Right? So in this detachment, we don't lose anything, we gain everything, because we're losing, quote unquote, all the stuff which just makes our journey much more difficult. Right? There's also a story which Guruji tells of two monks, and they're at a river, And then there's a young lady standing there, and she has a beautiful dress, and you can walk through the river, maybe up until the hip. It's not very deep. And so she doesn't want to ruin her beautiful dress. So one of the monks picks her up and carries her across. And the other monk is looking very, very skeptically, like, are you supposed to do this? And then once they reach the other side, the monk lets the lady go, and with her beautiful dress, which is not spoiled. And then they continue walking to the ashram, and just before they enter the ashram, the other monk says, was that really right what you were doing? We're not supposed to be doing this, right? You carried her across the river, this is not what we're supposed to do. And then the other monk said, well, it's true, but I only carried her across the river, and you carried her all the way here to the ashram. So who's more to blame? Because one is the external action, and the other one is the internal action. And I guess I'm not the only one who wishes that it was the opposite, no? That the spiritual path was just about the external things and not the internal things, because it'd be much easier, But it's not like that. The external things, they're important, sure, but they're just there to bring us to an internal state. Right? And then the question comes, in terms of detachment, how does true detachment truly come? And the answer, actually, if you really deeply try to listen to or study the book of Shandilya Bhakti Sutra, Guruji's answer is actually that this true detachment comes when you attach yourself to the Lord. And this is actually how he defines detachment, that in true detachment you don't care about anything else. Your mind is not enchanted by anything else except for him. And like that, if our mind is so attached in one place, then by naturally it cannot be attached in other places. No. Guruji sometimes jokes about that, how the Lord gave us one mind, he didn't give us many minds. And one mind means we can have, directed in one place. Even when we're multitasking, let's say, it's not that our mind can do many things at the same time, but it's just jumping very quickly. But the point of focus, if you closely try to observe your mind, it's only one, let's say I'm trying to think of a word in yogic philosophy. Yes, you would say a vritti, which means like one point of focus. It can only be one point of focus at a time. Right? So this is really, really, really the mastery, or like the key to detachment on the path of bhakti, because in other paths it's very much about the external things, right? Like for instance, like that sage Durvasa, he doesn't even have a place to sleep at night because there's a fear of getting attached, or even if you're begging, in many traditions the sannyasis are not supposed to beg food from the same person. Otherwise there's a fear of attachment, right? But if you're constantly so much focusing on this detachment, this is really not the way of bhakti, because the path of bhakti is to attach yourself to the Lord, and then naturally everything gradually will fade away and become not so important anymore. And I'm sure if you reflect on your own life, you can totally see that. No? We might not be like King Ambarisha, but for sure something has changed inside of us. For many of us also the external has changed, but it's mainly the internal reality which we have inside, which slowly, gradually transforms. And if you look at the great bhaktas, you really see how deeply attached they are to the Lord. And with those who are still on the way, they don't quite have this attachment. For instance, the Bhagavatam describes, it's so funny, describes Kardama Muni in the third canto, end of third canto. He's the father of Kapil Dev. And Kapil Dev is considered an avatar of the Lord. So the moment the Lord is born as his son, what does he do? He leaves house, he leaves home. He leaves the house to go to the forest to do penance. And if you compare it, for instance, to Mother Yashoda, it seems so ridiculous, right? But in his conception, he has to develop detachment. He has to do penance. He has to, make sure he's not attaching to anything. Even though the Lord literally manifested as his child, he leaves that child, he leaves Bhagwan to engage in penance, to develop detachment from the world. But if you look at Mother Yashoda, there's no question of running anywhere for a second when Krishna is there, because she has to take care of her son. Right? And Kardama Muni has to strive very hard, very, very hard to attain the Lord. But Mother Yashoda, because of her intense motherly affection, her intense motherly attachment to her son, how great is she that she can punish that Supreme Lord? No, she can beat up lovingly that Supreme Lord, and all the devas, all the great sages, they're just watching in amazement. They have to do so much to have a vision of him even. And here Mother Yashoda is holding him in her lap. She can do whatever she wants with him. No. But she has this great exalted position because of her intense attachment. Right? And when we equally develop such an attachment, then the Lord can truly say the same thing about us. O Brahmana, I am under the control of my devotees like a dependent. My heart has been fully captivated by my saintly devotees. I am very dear to my devotees. Jai Gurudev.
Tanka
Narasimo Yato yato yamitato Narasimo
Yato yato yamitato Narasimo
Yato yato yamitato Narasimo
Yato yato yamitato Narasimo
Bahe Narasimo Hidaye Narasimo
Bahe Narasimo Hidaye Narasimo
Bahe Narasimo Hidaye Narasimo
Bahe Narasimo Hidaye Narasimo
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade
Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade
Tavakara Kamalavare Nakama Buddha Stringa Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Tavakara Kamalavare Nakama Buddha Stringa Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringa Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha
Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Keshavalika Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
O Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Keshavalika Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Jaya Narasimhadev 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 Jaya Narasimhadev
Jaya Narasimhadev 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 Jaya Narasimhadev
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Bhakta Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Bhakta Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Gurudev 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 Jaya Vishwananda Gurudev.
Satgurudev Maharaj.
Jai Ho.
Jaya Shiva Shankara Om Om Hara Hara. Jaya Shiva Shankara Om Om Hara Hara. Jaya Shiva Shankara Jaya Shiva Shankara Om Om Hara Hara. 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 Shiva Shankara Bom Bom Hara Hara Jaya Shiva Shankara Bom Bom Hara 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 Bom Bom Hara 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 Bom Bom Hara 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 Bom Bom Hara 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 Bom Bom Hara Hara. Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatindraya Karuna Karaya Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Karuna Karaya Mangala Mangalame Krapati Dharmai Karataya Mangala Mangalame Krapati Dharmai Karataya Mangala Mangalame Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Saligrama Pratishtitaya Mangala Mangalame Saligrama Pratishtitaya Mangala Mangalame Tridandadhanini Godagajaya Mangala Mangalame Tridandadhanini Govardhanaya Mangala Mangalame Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yange Sakai Karyarataya Mangala Mangalame Yange Sakai Karyarataya Mangala Mangalame Mananataya Darine Daraya Mangala Mangalame Mananataya Darine Daraya Mangala Mangalame Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Ramanuja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Yatiraja Ramanuja Mangala Mangalame Om Jaya Jagadish Hare Solo Jaya Jagadish Hare Mata Janam Ke Sankata Data Janam Ke Sankata Janame Dura Kare Om Jaya Jagadish Hare Jo Jame Bara Pave Dukha Vinase Manaka Swami Dukha Vinase Manaka Dukha Sampati Garave Dukha Sampati Garave Kashna Mite Janaka Om Jaya Jagadish Hare Mata Pita Tuma Mere Sharana Gau Meki Saki Swami Sharana Gau Meki Saki Tuma Vina Ora Na Duja Tuma Vina Ora Na Duja Asa Karu Meki Saki Om Jaya Jagadish Hare Tuma Purana Paramatma Tuma Tarayami Swami Tuma Tarayami Parabrahma Parameshwara Parabrahma Parameshwara Tuma Sabake Swami Om Jaya Jagadish Hare Tuma Karuna Ke Sagara Tuma Palana Karata Swami Tuma Palana Karata Jai Sevaka Tuma Swami Jai Sevaka Tuma Swami Kripa Karo Bharata Om Jaya Jagadish Hare Tuma Ho Eka Gochara Sabake Pranapati Swami Sabake Pranapati Kisa vidhi milom dayamaya, kisa vidhi milom devamaya, tumako me kumati, om de jagarisha hare. Dina bandhu kasha, tumara shaka mere, Swami tumara shaka mere, karuna ta badao, karuna ta badao, karana pada tere, om de jagarisha hare. Vishaya vikara mitao, paparo deva, Swami paparo deva, Shara bhakti badao, Shara prema badao, Santana ki seva, Om Jai Jagadish Hare. Dana mana dana sama entera, Swami sama kucha entera, Swami sama kucha entera, Tera tujhko arpan, Tera tujhko arpan, kya lage mera. Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami Jai Jagadish Hare. Bhakta Jano ke Sankata, Bhakta Jano ke Sankata, Jana Merura Hare. Om Jai Jagadish Hare. Mane Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji. Mane Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji. Jakar Rakho, Jakar Rakho, Jakar Rakho Ji. Jakar Rakho, Jakar Rakho, Jakar Rakho Ji. Mane Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji. Shama Mane Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji. Govinda Mane Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji. Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji, Giridhari Lala Jakar Rakho Ji. Tvameva Mata Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhu Sasakha Tvameva, Tvameva Vinyadravinam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Govinda Asato Ma Sagamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. प्रेम से वो लक्ष्मण नारायण भगवान की, श्री भूतभृतेश्वरनाथ नरसिंह भगवान की, प्रेम से वो राधा कृष्ण के लाल की, श्री माता प्रिय बाबाजी की, श्री रामानुजाचार्य की, प्रेम से वो सद्गुरुदेव श्री स्वामी विश्वानंदा महाप्रभु की। कृष्णाय गोविंदाय गोपीजन वल्लभाय पराय परम पुरुषाय Parakarma mantra yantra tantra aushadani shastrani samarai samarai mrityor mochai mochai. Om namo bhagavate mahasudarshanaya dikte jvala pritai sarvik shravanam pat parashmaye parabrahmane paramjyotishe swaha. Om shanti shanti shanti, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Sham Venkateramana Govinda, Gopika Jivan Smaran Govinda, Bhakta Vatsala Govinda, Govinda Govinda Govinda. Kundalika Varade, Eknath Namdev, Andarinath Maharaj ki, Samasta Bhakta Mandali ki, Alvarin Perumanar Tiruvaligaye Shana.